US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been testifying before a Senate Foreign Relations Committee. In an exchange with some members of Congress, Rubio was challenged to reveal the Trump administration's plan to get Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible.
If Iran wants to be able to move its oil again through the strait, they will have to reopen the straits. If they refuse to do so, then we have other options available to us, but we would prefer to negotiate the opening of this, which means
tell us about the negotiations. What do you need from them in order to get the strait reopened? We need the strait reopened tomorrow.
Well, what needs to happen is very simple. They need to announce that they will no longer fire on commercial ships that are going through or threaten to fire on ships, because in many cases, ships just won't move. They won't go, not because they got fired on, but because of the risk of being fired upon. And so they have to announce very clearly, the straits are now open, we're not charging a toll, we will help remove the mines that they put in there, and they will not fire on ships.
But the president says they also need to make commitments on their nuclear program. That's what I'm asking.
I see what you're saying.
What commitments do they need to make in order for the strait to be reopened?
Well, the second thing they have to agree to as part of this is, in addition to the straits, that's the predicate that opens the door to phase two. Phase two is they have to commit to very specific negotiations on highly enriched, the disposition of the highly enriched uranium that still is buried deep in a mountain somewhere. They have to agree on negotiating severe and long-term limitations.
All right, Al Jazeera's Paddy Culhane joins us now live from Capitol Hill. Paddy, are we any clearer after that exchange with Marco Rubio as to what exactly the US is asking for from Iran and what they will or won't commit to?
I think that was very telling and probably the clearest example yet from an administration official of what the negotiations are actually centered on. And what he said after that is that the U.S. isn't even offering any carrot. So obviously he talked about the stick, that they have to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and then the Iranians have to commit to getting rid of its enriched uranium and limits on future uranium. So he was asked, well, what do they get in exchange for that? Are you even talking about sanctions release, unfreezing money? That was Senator Chris Murphy, and Secretary of State Rubio said, no, we're not. That's not even part of the negotiations. So very telling and probably the most informative answer yet from an administration official on just where these negotiations are. Let's not forget, U.S. President Donald Trump has said that he was getting bored, that he didn't need to talk. Then he said the talks are speeding up. So it's been really muddled messaging from the administration as to exactly what's going on with the talks. But because of this Senate hearing, now we know exactly what the U.S. is asking of Iran and saying what they're not willing to give Iran in exchange for their opening of the Strait of Hormuz.
All right, Paddy Culhane joining us live from Capitol Hill.